All right, so picking up from where we left off, we're going to talk about form. So, poetry is sometimes written in conventional forms that can give you hints about how the structure relates to the meaning of the poem. Ask yourself whether the poem's content strikes you as traditional or unusual. Is it something that, by looking at it, do you see an image, right? Is there a set number of stanzas, a set rhyme scheme, something that can identify as being a specific type of poem? Looking at the connection between form and content through this lens will help inform your analysis. There are different types of poems. For example, there are two different types of sonnets: Italian sonnets and Shakespearean sonnets. There are also ballads, lyrics, limericks, whatever. So we'll look at some of those and the specifics of them in the next few slides. Poems have many specialized form, and the most common of which is the sonnet. Traditionally written as love poems, the sonnet form has been used for a wide variety of purposes. There are two classic types of sonnets: the Italian or Petrarchan sonnet and the English or Shakespearean sonnet. The Italian sonnet or Petrarchan sonnet is divided into an octave, which is 8 lines, rhyming ABBA, ABBA, and a sestet, 6 lines, with a variety of different rhyme schemes, including CDC, CDC, CD, 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 CDE, CDE, or CDD, CDD. If you see this rhyme scheme and it has 14 lines, odds are it's an Italian sonnet. The rhyme scheme is normally what gives it away for people. Traditionally, the octave raises an issue or expresses a doubt, and the sestet resolves the issue or doubt. The shift from the first to the second section is called the turn, because there's a change, right? So going from expressing a doubt to resolving the doubt. Now, just like you can identify an Italian sonnet, you can also identify something that is a play on an Italian sonnet. So maybe a traditional format is used, but there's something that's tweaked about it. Something's changed. There's, 2 lines where the rhyme scheme isn't quite off, or right on it, and that can be a deliberate choice. Now, the English or Shakespearean sonnet consists of 3 4-line stanzas and a couplet at the end, a rhyming couplet. This type of sonnet rhymes A, B, A, B, C, D, C, D, E, F, E, F, G, G. The third stanza usually provides the turn, and the last 2 lines often close the sonnet with a witty remark. You will see a lot of Shakespearean sonnets. I think most of the sonnets in the textbook are Shakespearean. They're definitely more common. Other common traditional forms of poetry. An elegy. An elegy is a contemplative poem, usually for someone who has died. Lyric, which is a short poem expressing the personal thoughts or feelings of a first-person speaker. Ode, a form of poetry used to meditate on or address a single object or condition. It originally followed strict rules of rhythm and rhyme, but by the Romantic period it was more flexible. And a villanelle, a form of poetry in which 5 tercets or 3-line stanzas, rhyme scheme ABA, not time scheme, are followed by a quatrain, rhyme scheme ABAA. At the end of the tercets, at the end of tercet 2 and tercets 2 and 4, the first line of the tercet 1 is repeated. At the end of tercets 3 and 5, the last line of tercet 1 is repeated. These 2 repeated lines, called refrain lines, are repeated again to conclude the quatrain. Much of the power of this form lies in its repeated lines and their subtlety and their subtly shifting sense of meaning over the course of the poem. We will see examples of all of these as we read. I typically don't ask you, especially on timed readings, College Board will never ask you like what type of poem is this, but it can be very helpful to know what it is when you're analyzing, because then you know what to look for, right? So I gave the example of the sonnets earlier. If you know something is a Shakespearean sonnet, you know where to expect the shifts. And so if you know where to expect the shifts, that gives you an idea of like exactly where to look to analyze the text. Now, sound devices. Sound is the musical quality of poetry. It can be created through some of the other techniques we discuss, such as rhyme, enjambment, and caesura. But there are specific sound devices that some of these you've seen before, some of these maybe not. Alliteration you've definitely seen. It's the repetition of initial consonant sounds in a sequence of words or syllables. Assonance is the repetition of a vowel sound in a sequence of words or syllables. Consonance is the identical consonant sounds in nearby words that follow different vowel sounds. An onomatopoeia, use of a word that refers to a sound and whose punctuation mimics that sound. Sorry, pronunciation, not punctuation. Sound can also be created by rhythm and cadence, similar to rhythm, but related to the rise and fall of the voice. And these are things that you try your best to identify as you read. If you can't find them in a poem, it doesn't mean they're there, but you need to be vigilant. Rhyme. Some poems rhyme, and some, those written in free verse, do not. Poems don't always have to rhyme. It's totally up to the poet whether they choose to rhyme them or not. But it is your job to identify a rhyme scheme if there's one present. Rhyme at the end of a line is called an end rhyme, while rhyme within a line of poetry is called an internal rhyme. You will find examples of internal rhyme, but end rhymes are far more frequent. Rhyme is usually notated using letters of the alphabet. You use one letter for each sound that rhymes. Now, in terms of structure, these kind of didn't fit anywhere else, so I had to throw them here. A quatrain is a 4-line stanza, and a couplet are the first two lines, or when the first two lines rhyme with each other, or just two lines that are back to back that rhyme with one another. That's a couplet. And that ends the analyzing poetry notes. I hope you guys found these notes helpful. And I really hope that they weren't too painful and that we can use all this information as we start to analyze poetry. Have a great day.